let me set the stage here. So, after about 15 years away from World of Warcraft, a few months ago, a few of my friends and I decided to actually go ahead and take a look at this game, see what all has been added to it recently, and kind of have a little bit of a nostalgia moment as well, going back through some of the old stuff, and basically just overall see how much the game has changed since that long time ago. And it has been overall, I would say, a very positive experience. So I'm going to do some criticism here of the game because I think the game deserves it, but I do want to make it very clear up front that I think it's a really fun game. There's an awful lot in World of Warcraft to really like. But let's go ahead and jump right into this. So one of the interesting things for a returning player like me is that they have added all of these new races that didn't used to be in the game. I don't know if they're all like very recent or if they've been spread out over across all of the different DLCs. I'm still learning little things like that. But in any case, it's been, you know, kind of interesting to go through and start to unlock these new races that didn't used to be in the game. Well, having said all that, the way that World of Warcraft has worked, they took all of our old levels, like I think my highest level character used to be a level 70. This again going way back to after the Outland expansion, the Burning Crusade. So yeah, quite some time ago. And anyway, they squished down all the levels, obviously. So I think my highest level character when I logged back in with my old account was like level 30-ish or so. And you can't unlock these races until you get to level 40. No problem. It doesn't take long to level up in the new World of Warcraft, certainly compared to how it used to be. So in any case, so I decided, okay, I'm going to start leveling up some of my old characters, get them up to 40, and then I'll start unlocking these different races. And so the first one I started with was Volpera, because, I mean, how can you not just adore these guys? They're so cute and lovable. I don't have any idea what they're doing with the Horde. They don't really seem like a Horde race, but I'm sure thematically and as far as lore is concerned, it makes sense. So unlock the Volpera. It's a little bit tedious to do, but it's okay. No big problem. I did the Zandalari Trolls. I did the Mag'har Orcs here. I did the Nightborn on the Horde side. I went through and I started unlocking the different races on the Alliance side as well. Anyway, what ends up happening is I was somewhere, I want to say, in the 50s as I was unlocking. Where are they at? These guys right here, which you'll notice are not unlocked yet for me. And then also these guys, which I did unlock. But again, I was somewhere probably, I think, in the 50s when I was unlocking these guys. And let me tell you, the game is broken. Okay, I'll just come right out and say it. It's unacceptable, the state that it's in right now. Yeah, it's playable. Yeah, you can do certain things, but thankfully, Wowhead is still a thing. So I was able to go out there and look at the comments of other people who came before me to learn out what I was doing wrong, or in this case, what the game is doing wrong. And so, as I mentioned in a video that I made a week or so ago, this game is obviously made and maintained for your hardcore players. It is made and maintained to do the new content, and basically the old content is there to struggle through if you want to, but the way that they are maintaining so much of the old content is negligent. Now, a lot of it can still be fun. Again, I just want to throw that out there as a disclaimer. There's lots of fun that I've had still going back through the content that has accumulated over the course of the last 20 years. Most of it works fairly well. The scaling, you know, it's not the way I would like it to be. Most of the content is just too easy. And every once in a while you run into something that the scaling is just is not working correctly, and it's next to impossible to do. And that's really the problem with unlocking these races, for example. Not all of them, just these two are the only ones that I had the biggest problem with. It's basically like Blizzard made this decision to squish the levels, which is fine, to do the scaling, which is fine. You know, there's trade-offs to it, as I mentioned in that other video, but it's fine. You know, it's certainly one perfectly acceptable way to handle your game is to scale things to your level. The problem is, when they made that decision, they went ahead and implemented it, and then they basically said, they took it like, I don't know, 80 or 90% of the way there, and they said, okay, that's good enough. We'll just leave this remaining 10% to be broken for people to kind of just struggle through, get really frustrated with, and figure out on their own. So what am I talking about? Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so here we are, and what am I? I'm level 58, yeah. So I'm accepting this quest called Walking in Their Footsteps. And it turns you into this little elemental form. I suppose it's an elemental. And you've got these two abilities down here, 1 and 2 on your hotkeys. And I'm pretty sure the name of these two abilities is number 1 is your useless ability. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called landslide. Well, it should be called useless. And your number 2 ability, Rockfall here, is should actually be labeled almost useless. So this first one is, I guess, more sort of your normal damaging spell. Your number 2 here is an area of effect spell that does a little bit of damage to everything around you. And yeah, as you can see, I ran up to 1 enemy here. I'm smashing the number 1 key, my useless ability, aka landslide. And yeah, as you can see, it's absolutely doing nothing to this thing that's actually even a level below me. This is level 7 enemy that I'm, or excuse me, 57 enemy that I'm fighting as a level 58. Yeah, and it's just not even doing anything. So, all right, so that's not great. That's not really the kind of behavior that you're looking for. So what about our number 2 ability here, the almost useless ability? Well, what I found out was, of course, if you take damage here, which you do very quickly in this quest, you basically don't die. It apparently removes all your health down to, I guess, maybe 1 hit point, but it doesn't actually kill you, so you can continue this quest. So I thought, all right, well then I'll just run around and I'll AoE, or I'll just grab everything, I'll just pull everything, and then do AoE against everything, and I'll just very slowly work it, work their health down by doing this number 2 ability over and over again. It's going to be extremely time consuming, but it will work eventually. And as I'm doing this, as you can see here, I'm slowly killing a couple of these shadows of Ul. And then I realize, okay, these shadow lurkers here, let's take a look at them. Yeah, again, still number 1 not really doing anything at all. The number 2 ability, maybe we just start doing this a little bit more, and as I'm doing it, I'm watching their health bars, and I'm seeing how basically almost negligible the amount of damage that I'm doing to them is. So what I thought was, well, okay, maybe I could continue to do this, and if I'm an extremely patient person, then, after 20 or 30 minutes of this, I might slowly grind these things down and be able to finish this quest. But I decided not to because, like I said, Wowhead is a thing. So I just look up the quest on Wowhead. I take advantage of the fact that there are countless players who have been through this before I have been, and I take a look at what they have to say about it. And yeah, clearly I'm not the only person to have run into this problem. And so you scroll through the comments here, and you realize, okay, yeah, there's a scaling issue here. And essentially what it comes down to is they just basically say, don't do this quest unless you're level 70. So this is the problem that I'm talking about with World of Warcraft. They made some design decisions to, scale the game, that's fine, to allow you to unlock this quest at level 40. At level 40, you're able to go ahead and start this quest line. The problem is that it's just not doable at level 40, and they don't seem to be too concerned about fixing it so that it is doable at level 40. So all they need to do, this is not rocket science, all they need to do is either scale this quest correctly so that you can actually do it at level 40, or alternatively, they need to not make this available until you're level 70. I would say that would make a little bit less sense, but that might be the easier fix. But in any case, what they shouldn't do is what they've done is basically put the content in the game and just said, okay, we're going to leave it broken for people to get frustrated at. So This is sort of a recurring thing in World of Warcraft. It's not the vast majority of content, but it is there, and it happens often enough that it's quite frustrating. All right, so the other one. Let's talk about the other one. That is, of course, the unlocking the Mechagnomes quest line. And so that one is pretty easy the whole way through. Again, most of the content kind of lulls you to sleep because with the scaling and everything, it's actually basically trivialized where you barely have to pay attention to what you're doing to progress through the quest line. And then all of a sudden, so you wake up, what's his name over here? I forget now what the leader of the gnomes is, but you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, so you come running into this last area where the enemy boss is. As you can see, he's a level 53 elite, whereas I'm a level 52 warrior in this particular case. And Megatork, I think, is Gelbin Megatork is the goblin leader. I'm sorry, the gnome leader. Anyway, he comes in here with you, and you run up and you fight this boss mob, and he just absolutely annihilates you within a couple of seconds because he's got this capacitor discharge, which can't be interrupted, lasts a really long time, humongous AoE, does so much damage it'll basically kill you in a couple of seconds if you get called in it. So, again, I run in here, I die a couple of times. I decide to take a look at the old WoW head. This is a quest called Ascension, and I read through the comments of this particular quest, and yeah, again, people are saying, yeah, this is just basically impossible to do solo. It could be a scaling issue again, it might be something else, but basically they're saying, yeah, this quest is just bugged out. Basically, all you got to do is allow Mechatork to basically do all the fighting for you, and you just make sure that you stand clear of the AoE because it will kill you really, really quickly. And so that's what I did. Basically walk in there, run around, start the fight, run around to get away from the AoE, and you literally let the NPC do all of the fighting for you. It takes like 10 minutes while you're standing there so I basically went and did other things. 10 minutes for him to end up killing the boss for you, and then you are able to complete it that way. So yeah, great. I was able to succeed at the quest. I have to think this is not the way the quest was designed. This is not what Blizzard had in mind when they designed this quest for you to unlock the Mechagnomes, that you would literally have to do nothing for 10 minutes and allow the NPC to do the fighting for you. So again, now maybe there's a way to do it. Maybe, I think I'd heard somebody say, or maybe it was a comment that I read, somebody said, well, if you can attack from range, you can stand far enough back where you can get away from that AoE quickly enough. Once he starts doing it, it won't kill you or whatever. It could very well be that some classes handle it better than others. Could be that some levels are scaled better than others. I don't know. Maybe I was in a sweet spot of where it was impossible. But the point is that it's obviously not tuned very well. So, and certainly not in such a way that a casual player or a relatively inexperienced player coming back into the game like I am, who, certainly in the process of still learning sort of the nuances of the game, it's not very intuitive at all how you would take on this particular quest. So again, basically the way to do it is to go out to the WoW head and read what other people tell you to do, and what other people are telling you is that the quest is broken, but here's how you can kind of finagle it so that the quest can still get completed. So there you have it. This is sort of my experience in a nutshell with World of Warcraft. Is a lot of fun, intermittently broken up with quests or other experiences that are just incredibly frustrating. I don't understand why the game is the way it is. It doesn't seem like it would be all that difficult for them to put a modicum of support into the older content and just make it a much less frustrating experience for players. Certainly, if they want to grow the player base, forget about even growing the player base. There's content in the game. If you're going to make the content in the game available to players, there sort of comes with it a certain amount of responsibility to make the content work, and they just don't seem particularly interested in that aspect of it. Like I said, you would think that they would try to make the new player experience a little bit more friendly so that new players actually get a positive impression of the game. And so I know I've done a lot of complaining here about World of Warcraft. There are obviously many, many things that the game does right. There's a lot to like about it. I just want to throw that out there as a disclaimer. I already know how much hate I'm going to get in the comments section, because anytime you criticize a game, certainly one as popular as this, you're going to get a lot of people who come back and basically tell you to learn how to play and that Blizzard can do nothing wrong, and that's fine. I get it. I understand. But I do want to kind of point out from a new player perspective or from a casual player perspective, there are experiences like this that are in the game that are quite frustrating, that I just don't understand why the limited amount of resources to be put in to fix it is not happening. But all right, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Please, as always, feel free to leave your comments. Tell me how much you disagree. Tell me how horrible a player I am. I'm perfectly okay with that. But also do let me know if you agree with it. And maybe, just maybe, there'll be, this will be the straw that broke the camel's back, and somebody at Blizzard will take a look at it and go, yeah, you know what, maybe we ought to spend the 15 minutes that it takes to change the code here to make this a better experience overall for the players. So, all right, anyway, at that point, I'll go ahead and leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next video.